there have been many more people who never got to the starting line because they were injured before then. Right? So, I mean, think about that. Right? It's part of my job as your coach is to get you to the starting line prepared. And what you'll find me doing at times is holding you back. Right? Because I know that exerting yourself at that particular moment is not going to help you either get to the starting line or perform better once you get there. Okay, so the training plans, if you trust them, are designed to do that. The purpose of the runs that we do are not to convince you that you can finish your race. Right? If whatever race you've decided to run this fall, if you don't already believe you can finish, you've chosen the wrong race. You've got to start out knowing you can do what you're setting out to do. Okay? The purpose of our runs, including the long run, is to get certain adaptations. Right? And to get physiological responses that prepare you for the race that you're running. Right? So when you look at the training plans, I know I'm going to have many of these discussions, particularly with people preparing for marathons. People are going to come up to me and say, but how can I run a marathon if I don't do a 20-mile training run? Right? What you're saying to me is, I don't think I can finish. Go back 10 years, one person who didn't finish, and it was because of a torn hip labrum. Okay, you can finish. All right, so trust the plan that we've laid out for you. What is really the key component of all of this is recovery between the harder efforts. And that means, that doesn't necessarily mean sitting on the couch every day between Tuesday and Saturday, but it means that the runs that you do in between mostly should be at an easy pace. How many of you watched the Jack Daniels video that I emailed? If you haven't watched it, please do. Okay? So, here's sort of an outline of all the physiological things, well, most of the physiological things or benefits we want to get from the training that we're going to do together. And the first category is your musculoskeletal fitness. And the first component of that is durability. All right? Your durability is what gets you to the starting line. Right? If you don't have the durability to withstand the training that you do, you break down, you get injured before you ever get there. Right? So one of the ways that you develop durability is by approaching your training progressively. These first couple months that we're together, we're in a base phase of training, meaning that the most important thing for you to do is easy running, right? And by doing that, you're going to build up durability so that when we do harder stuff later on, you've got the durability to do that. You can also build durability by doing the things that we don't do together, but I try to encourage you to do on your own. The Wharton flexibility work, the Wharton strength work are all designed to provide you with durability. Some of you, some of the marathoners are doing Steamtown, right? That's a course that's going to require some durability because of the way the course is laid out. There's a lot of downhill running. You should really be, if you haven't already, picking up the Wharton strength work to add some durability so that you don't break down late in that race. So the second category or item under musculoskeletal fitness is muscle fiber adaptation. Right? While you're running and afterwards, your muscle fibers are adapting to the stress that you're applying. They're getting better at using energy, both fats and carbohydrates, You're training your different kinds of muscle fiber to work when they're supposed to work. And you're also teaching the muscle fibers to use oxygen effectively when your cardiovascular system delivers it to your muscle fibers. And the cardiovascular system is that second category that we're going to work on. So if you watch the Jack Daniels video, he explained that when you start running, your heart rate goes up, right? And it keeps going up until it's at its absolute max, right? When you're running really hard. And the strength of which your heart beats, which dictates the stroke volume, how much blood does it pump each time it beats, goes up as you start to run faster as well. However, when you get to about 60% of your maximum effort, your heart is beating as hard as it's ever going to beat. It doesn't start beating harder after that, right? So there's a great benefit to you to work your heart muscle at that 60% effort level. The other adaptation, cardiovascular, is capillary density. What we want to do is build a lot of blood vessels deep into your muscles, right? And you do that by doing a lot of easy running. So all those benefits that I just outlined are all done at about 60 to 65% effort. They're not done when we're doing interval work, not done when we're running faster. So if you look at your pace chart, you see the distance pace. All those benefits I just described to you, you get by doing more running at that effort level, not by doing harder running. Okay. Now, harder running has its place. Other cardiovascular responses that we're going to try to get is improving your lactate threshold, right? Which is your body's ability to clear all those byproducts of energy production. That if they accumulate in your bloodstream, they're going to slow you down. They're going to make you feel fatigued. Anybody watch any of the Olympic trials? Anybody see the 400-meter races? In that last 100 meter, when you're watching the 400, what do most of the runners do? They start to tie up, right? It gets really hard for them to move their body. You can really see them straining. That's because all those byproducts built up really quickly because of their effort level. And it gets very hard. They've not been able to deliver the oxygen, and all these byproducts are built up, and they really start straining in that race. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's sort of a quick study of what happens when all these things build up in your body. But by running at threshold pace, which we're going to do a lot of this summer, you improve your body's ability to clear all those byproducts. It gets better at getting rid of that stuff. In addition to that, its efficiency improves, so you actually produce less of it, right? So by training at that level, you produce less byproducts and you get rid of it better. But if when I instruct you to run at that pace, you run faster, you're not going to get that benefit, right? So that's all done at threshold level, which is still, we call it comfortably hard, which may sound like an oxymoron, but it's not. And then the last cardiovascular adaptation we're going to get is VO2 max, right? That's actually working your lungs and improving your body's ability to take in oxygen and deliver it effectively. But most of the distances that you're running, that's really a category of improvement that you're not going to be doing a lot of running that's going to max out your oxygen consumption. Okay, if you're focused on 5K, we'll hit that a little harder. Okay, so I said this before the last season. I want to say it now. everything I just described will happen if you follow the training plan and if you can get to the starting line healthy, right? Which is what we're trying to do. That's the easy part. I've never really met anybody that stuck with flying feet for very long that wasn't willing to do the work, right? The hard part is believing in yourself once you've done that work, right? Having the confidence that you can accomplish what you set out to accomplish, right? So one of the things we work on really hard when we're together on Tuesday is what I'll call a running mindset. Okay, so changing what you believe about your own capability, right? You probably all stand here at this moment thinking this is what my limit is. This is what I'm capable of doing, right? And part of what I want to help you see is you're wrong. Your capability is beyond that, right? Because you'll never ever achieve at a level higher than you think you can. Trusting the plan, ability to concentrate. So how many of you read the Run More newsletter? Anybody know what, remember what Steve's essay was on the one he just sent out? Music. Okay, so I'm gonna actually write a rebuttal. So no headphones is one of my strong recommendations, and here's why. So Steve sort of made my point, and if you read his essay, Steve had 5 easy miles planned. Remember what I just told you about easy running? And he started the run and he felt really tired. And the reason he felt really tired is he had done some hard work preceding this 5-mile run. But Steve, doing what he always does, he had music in his ears. And just as he was entering the McDaniel College track, a song he loves came on, and he started running hard. And the point of his story is, music energizes me. Because he ran hard on that track, he felt great, and when that song ended, another one came on, and he was able to sort of keep that hard pace. So, as sort of Steve's coach, I looked at him and said, wait a second, you told me you had an easy 5 miles planned. You told me that you were fatigued, really fatigued, from hard running you had done previous to that. And what did you do? You ran hard because your emotions took over, right? So that's one of the reasons that I don't like music in your ears while you're running. I'll forgive them if you're inside. Okay, that's really bad if you're on a treadmill or on a bike or something like that. But when you're outside, you want to manage yourself. You want to learn from sort of the quiet that running can give you, the internal quiet. But most importantly, you want to learn that you have the ability to concentrate on what you're doing. And if you really want to reach your potential as a runner, you really have to practice that. Okay, so part of having a runner's mindset is to concentrate on running when you're running. Okay, not being distracted. I spend a lot of time getting you to focus on Tuesday evenings when we're together, because you can't spend all your training time distracted and then come to race day and expect to be able to concentrate, right? And unless your mind is fully engaged in what you're doing on race day, you'll never be able to reach your potential. And lastly, maybe the most important thing is dealing with the doubt, right? Almost every one of us has negative voices. Chances are we're stepping to starting lines with them in our head too. So you need to learn to counteract that, to be your own positive voice when you have negative thoughts. Everybody has them, right? Elite runners have negative thoughts, but they deal with them differently than non-elite runners for the most part. So we're going to spend a lot of time focused on getting you to think positively. And like I say, that part, all that stuff, the running mindset is the hard part, right? So we focus on that a lot.